For 12 years, Marcus Washington mopped the floors at Georgetown University Hospital. Night shift. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., when the halls were empty and quiet. He cleaned operating rooms after surgeries, sanitized equipment, emptied trash, the kind of work that was essential but invisible. Nurses smiled at him. Doctors nodded in passing. But nobody really saw him. Just another member of the custodial staff. A large black man in his late 50s with graying hair and kind eyes. He wore the same navy blue uniform every night, kept his head down, did his job well, never complained, never asked for recognition, until a new trauma surgeon started working the night shift. Dr. Sarah Chen. Young, brilliant, fresh from a fellowship in combat trauma. She'd been at Georgetown for 3 weeks when she noticed something unusual. The janitor cleaning the OR had a scar on his left forearm, a distinctive pattern, neat, precise stitches in a specific configuration she'd only seen once before, in a textbook, on a photograph. From Mogadishu, Somalia, October 3, 1993, the Battle of Mogadishu. Black Hawk down. "Excuse me," she said one night as Marcus was mopping. "Your arm, that scar. Where did you get it?" Marcus paused, looked at his forearm, at the faded white lines that had been there for 30 years. "Old injury, long time ago. That's not just any injury. That's a field suture. Combat medicine. I recognize the pattern. I studied it in my fellowship." Marcus went very still. Dr. Chen stepped closer. Her eyes were sharp, analytical, the way surgeons looked at puzzles they needed to solve. "That's Dr. Patterson's signature stitch. He was an army surgeon in Somalia. He only did that pattern on one day, October 3, 1993, during the Battle of Mogadishu. Which means..." She looked up at Marcus, really looked at him. "You were there. You're one of the Rangers." If this story of hidden heroes and the scars that tell the truth already has you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe. What happens when a trauma surgeon recognizes a 30-year-old stitch pattern will reveal that the janitor mopping floors is one of the most decorated soldiers in American history. Now, let's go back to October 3, 1993, when Sergeant Marcus Washington earned those scars and a Medal of Honor that he's never once mentioned. The mission was supposed to be simple. Fast rope into the target building in downtown Mogadishu. Capture 2 high-value targets from the warlord Aided's organization. 30 minutes, in and out. Sergeant Marcus Washington, 24 years old, 75th Ranger Regiment, Bravo Company, was on his 4th deployment. He'd been a ranger for 6 years. Loved the brotherhood, the mission, the clarity of purpose. He fast-roped from the Black Hawk onto the target building's roof with his squad. 12 Rangers, the best of the best. The building was secured quickly. Targets captured. Easy day. Then the RPG hit. Call sign Super 6-1. Chief Warrant Officer Cliff Wolcott's Black Hawk was struck by a rocket-propelled grenade. The helicopter spiraled out of control and crashed 6 blocks away. The mission changed instantly. No longer a quick capture operation. Now a desperate rescue. Marcus's squad, along with several others, was redirected to the crash site. They moved through hostile streets. Every window was a potential sniper position. Every corner an ambush. The Somali militia had been waiting for this. Thousands of fighters, AK-47s, RPGs. They'd prepared for months. By the time Marcus's squad reached Super 6-1, the situation was catastrophic. The pilots were dead. Rangers were establishing a defensive perimeter, and the Somali fighters were closing in from every direction. Marcus took position behind a concrete wall. His M4 carbine was hot from constant firing. Magazines were running low. The noise was overwhelming. Gunfire, explosions, screaming. Then Super 6-4 went down. Another Black Hawk. 2 blocks away. We need to link up the crash sites. Lieutenant shouted over the chaos. But moving 2 blocks through that hellfire was suicide. The streets were a killing zone. That's when Marcus saw them. 3 Rangers, wounded, pinned down in a building between the 2 crash sites, surrounded, cut off from both perimeters, taking fire from multiple directions. Nobody could get to them. The volume of fire was too intense. Marcus looked at his squad leader. "I'm going." "Washington, you can't. They're dying." "I'm going." Marcus didn't wait for permission. He grabbed extra ammunition, a medical bag, and sprinted into the street. The next 30 minutes would earn him the Medal of Honor, but they'd cost him pieces of his soul that he'd never get back. He moved through the city like a ghost, using every bit of cover, doorways, vehicles, rubble, the training taking over. Suppressive fire behind him as his squad covered his movement. Bullets kicked up dust around his feet. An RPG exploded 10 feet away, the blast throwing him into a wall. His ears rang. His vision blurred, but he kept moving. He reached the building where the 3 Rangers were trapped. Staff Sergeant Mike Pearson, Specialist James Rodriguez, Private First Class David Chen, all wounded. "All fighting, Washington!" Pearson shouted when Marcus crashed through the door. "What the hell are you doing here?" "Getting you out." "There's no way. Look at the street." Marcus looked. Every window in every building had a shooter. The street was a death trap. Then we fight our way out. "How bad are you hit?" Pearson had taken a round through his shoulder. Rodriguez had shrapnel in his legs from an RPG. Chen had been shot twice in the abdomen. Chen was the worst. Bleeding internally. Pale. Going into shock. Marcus started treating him immediately. Applied pressure. Started an IV, combat medicine the way he'd been trained. "We need a medevac," Rodriguez said. "Chen's not going to make it. No birds can land here. Too hot. We're walking out. Chen can't walk." "Then I'll carry him." The Somali fighters were getting closer. Marcus could hear them in the adjacent buildings, calling to each other, coordinating. "We move in 2 minutes," Marcus said. "Pearson, your point." Rodriguez, cover rear. "I've got Chen. We move fast. We don't stop. Crash Site 1 is 4 blocks north. We link up there or we die here. Everyone understand?" They understood. Marcus lifted Chen in a fireman's carry. 180 pounds of dead weight, plus gear, plus weapons. They moved out into hell. The next 4 blocks would be the longest of Marcus's life. They moved building to building. Marcus carrying Chen. Pearson leading despite his wounded shoulder. Rodriguez limping but fighting. Somali militia appeared everywhere. Marcus fired one-handed while carrying Chen. Put down 3 fighters who tried to cut them off. An RPG exploded next to them. Shrapnel tore through Marcus's left forearm. Blood poured from the wound. He kept moving. Rifle fire from a window. Marcus spun, fired back, kept moving. His legs burned. His lungs screamed. Chen's blood soaked his uniform. "Stay with me, Chen," Marcus yelled. "We're almost there." 2 blocks. 1 block. They reached the perimeter of Crash Site 1 just as Marcus's legs were giving out. Rangers pulled them into cover. A medic grabbed Chen immediately. Started working on him with the full kit. Another medic looked at Marcus's arm. "Jesus, Washington. You're torn up. I'm fine. Get Chen stable. You need treatment now or you're going to lose that arm." Dr. Patterson, the Army surgeon, appeared. He'd been flown in specifically for this disaster. He looked at Marcus's forearm and his face went grim. "Sit." "Now." Marcus sat. Dr. Patterson worked fast. Field surgery with limited supplies under combat conditions. He cleaned the wound, debrided shrapnel, and began suturing. His stitch pattern was distinctive, precise. a technique he'd developed specifically for combat injuries. "You saved those 3 Rangers," Patterson said as he worked. "Chen would have died in that building. You carried him 4 blocks through hell. Just doing my job, sir." That wasn't a job. That was heroism. Marcus didn't respond. Chen was alive. Pearson and Rodriguez were being treated. That's all that mattered. The battle would rage for another 18 hours. By the end, 18 Americans would be dead, 73 wounded. It would be the deadliest combat for U.S. forces since Vietnam. Marcus would fight through all of it, wounded arm and all. 6 months later, at a White House ceremony, President Clinton would pin the Medal of Honor on his chest for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Marcus accepted it with humility, gave the credit to his fallen brothers, and then quietly returned to his unit and never talked about it again. Dr. Sarah Chen, no relation to the PFC David Chen from Mogadishu, stared at Marcus's forearm. "That's Dr. Patterson's stitch," she repeated. "I studied under him during my fellowship. He's retired now, but he taught me combat trauma. He only did that specific pattern on one day. October 3rd, 1993. Mogadishu. Black Hawk down." Marcus was very still. His mop was frozen mid-stroke. "You were there," she said. It wasn't a question. After a long moment, Marcus nodded slightly. "Long time ago." Dr. Patterson kept photographs of every soldier he treated that day. He said it was the worst combat medicine he'd ever done. Said those Rangers were the toughest men he'd ever met. He saved 23 lives that day. He was a good doc. He's 82 now. Still sharp. Still teaches sometimes. He'd want to know you're okay. Would it be all right if I called him? Marcus hesitated. He'd spent 30 years being invisible. Not talking about Mogadishu. Not seeking recognition, but something in Dr. Chen's face, the genuine respect, the desire to connect past to present, made him nod. "Okay." Dr. Chen pulled out her phone right there in the OR and dialed. "Dr. Patterson? It's Sarah Chen. Yes, I'm good. Listen, I need you to look at something. I'm sending you a photo. Yes, right now." She took a picture of Marcus's forearm. Sent it. 30 seconds later, Patterson's voice came through the speaker, shaking. "Where did you get this photo?" "I didn't. He's standing right here, working as a janitor at Georgetown. Put him on, now." Dr. Chen handed the phone to Marcus. "Sir?" Marcus said. There was a long silence. Then, "I remember you. I stitched that arm. You'd just carried a wounded Ranger 4 blocks through Mogadishu. You were bleeding, exhausted, but you wouldn't sit down until I forced you. You saved 3 lives that day. I was just, don't say you were just doing your job. I was there. I saw what you did. What's your name?" "Marcus Washington, sir." Another silence. Longer this time. "Sergeant Marcus Washington. Medal of Honor. You carried PFC Chen to safety. The citation said you engaged enemy fighters while carrying a wounded man. Single-handedly held off an attack to protect the crash site perimeter. You're a legend." "I'm a janitor, sir." "No, you're a hero who works as a janitor. There's a difference." Dr. Chen was staring at Marcus with new eyes. "Medal of Honor? You have the Medal of Honor." Marcus shrugged. "It's at home, in a box." "In a box?" She looked incredulous. "That's the nation's highest military honor. You should—" "I know what it is, ma'am. I was there when they gave it to me. But it doesn't change who I am. I'm just Marcus. I clean floors. I do my job. That's enough." Dr. Patterson's voice came through the phone. "Marcus, are you happy in your life? Are you doing okay?" Marcus thought about it. His small apartment, his night shift routine, The quiet satisfaction of a clean hospital. I'm okay, sir. Bills are paid. I have my health. No complaints. But you're cleaning floors. You could be doing anything. Teaching, training, consulting. With your experience, your decorations. I like cleaning floors, sir. It's honest work. Nobody expects anything from me. I clock in. I do the job. I go home. It's simple. After Mogadishu, simple is good. Dr. Chen was watching him with an expression that was part respect, part sadness, like she was seeing him clearly for the first time. After the phone call ended, she said, I looked you up, on my phone, while you were talking. The citation for your Medal of Honor. It says you saved 3 Rangers while under heavy fire, engaged multiple enemy combatants while carrying a wounded soldier, held defensive positions for 18 hours straight despite being wounded. You're in the Ranger Hall of Fame. Ma'am, I need to finish mopping before my shift ends. Marcus, she stepped in front of him, blocked his path gently. Why are you hiding? Why are you working nights as a janitor when you could be? Because I'm not hiding. This is my life. By choice. I left the Army in 1997, did my 20 years, got my pension, tried civilian jobs, hated them, too much attention, too many questions. People found out about the medal and suddenly I wasn't Marcus anymore. I was the war hero, the guy from Black Hawk Down. I didn't want that. I wanted to be normal. But you're not normal. You're extraordinary. Maybe I was. For one day in Somalia. But that was 30 years ago. Now I'm just a man who cleans hospitals. And that's okay. More than okay. It's what I want. Dr. Chen looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. I understand, and I respect that. But Marcus, thank you. For your service. For what you did. For the lives you saved. Even if you don't want recognition, you deserve respect. And you have mine. Thank you, ma'am. Can I finish mopping now? She stepped aside. Marcus resumed cleaning, his mop moving in steady, practiced strokes. Dr. Chen watched him work. Then she did something unexpected. She went to the hospital administrator's office. Even though it was 2 a.m., she called the administrator at home. This is Dr. Chen. I need to talk to you about one of our custodial staff, Marcus Washington. No, he's not in trouble. The opposite. I need you to review his file, his background, because I think we're underutilizing one of the most experienced trauma veterans in the country. Word spread through the hospital quickly. By the next night shift, everyone knew. The janitor on the night crew was a Medal of Honor recipient, a Ranger from Black Hawk Down, a living legend working quietly among them for 12 years. Some staff approached Marcus with thanks, others with awkward hero worship. A few veterans on staff saluted him in the hallways. Marcus hated all of it. He'd chosen this job specifically because nobody knew. Nobody cared. He was invisible. Now he was visible again, and it brought back everything he'd tried to leave behind. The nightmares got worse. The sounds, the smells, Mogadishu flooding back. After a week, he submitted his resignation. Dr. Chen found him in the break room on his last night. You're leaving because of me, because I recognized your scar. No, ma'am. I'm leaving because it's time. Where will you go? Don't know yet. Find another night shift somewhere. Somewhere nobody knows me. Or, Dr. Chen sat down across from him. You could stay and teach. Teach what? Trauma response, combat medicine, triage under pressure. Marcus, we have medical students and residents who've never seen real trauma, who've never had to make life or death decisions in seconds. You've done it dozens of times, hundreds. You could teach them things they'll never learn in a textbook. I'm not a teacher. You don't have to lecture. Just be there, in the trauma bay, when we get mass casualties, when everything goes wrong. You could help guide them, show them how to stay calm, how to prioritize, how to save lives when resources are limited. Marcus was quiet for a long time. I clean floors. That's what I do. You save lives. That's what you do. The floor cleaning was just camouflage. Despite himself, Marcus smiled slightly. Maybe. Stay, please. Not as a hero, not as a Medal of Honor recipient. Just as Marcus, the guy who's seen the worst and knows how to handle it. We need that. Our patients need that. Marcus looked at his hands, at the scar on his forearm, at 30 years of trying to be invisible. I'd still work nights? Absolutely. No publicity, no ceremonies, no press. I'll make sure of it. And I can still mop if I want. Chen smiled. You can mop all you want. Okay, I'll stay. Marcus Washington still worked nights at Georgetown University Hospital, but now he split his time between custodial work and the trauma bay. When mass casualty events came in, car accidents, shootings, disasters, Marcus was there, not as a doctor, not as a nurse, but as a presence. The residents learned quickly. When everything went to hell, when they didn't know what to do, they looked at Marcus, and his calm steadiness reminded them to breathe, to prioritize, to focus. You've got 3 critical patients and 2 trauma bays, Marcus would say quietly. Who do you treat first? The one who's bleeding out? No, the one you can save fastest. Get them stable, then move to the next. You can't save everyone, but you can save someone. Focus on what you can do, not what you can't. Dr. Chen watched him work with admiration. He never raised his voice, never panicked, just moved through chaos like he'd done it 1,000 times. Because he had. One night, a young resident asked him, "Is it true, what they say about Mogadishu?" Marcus was mopping the trauma bay, cleaning up after a particularly difficult case. He paused, considered. "Some of it," he said finally. "What was it like?" "Loud, chaotic, scary, but also clear. You know what you have to do. Save your brothers. Everything else is noise." "How did you stay calm?" "I didn't, not inside, but outside. You have to be calm, because if you panic, people die. So you take a breath, you do the job, you deal with the fear later." "Do you still have nightmares?" Marcus looked at the young resident, saw himself 30 years ago, young, idealistic, about to learn hard truths. "Every night," Marcus said honestly. "But they get quieter, and the work helps. Knowing that the skills I learned in the worst day of my life can help someone now. That makes it worth it." The resident nodded. "Thank you. For staying. For teaching us." "I'm not teaching. I'm just showing up. Same as I did in Mogadishu. Same as I do here. You just show up and do the job. That's all any of us can do." Later that night, Marcus received a package at the hospital from Dr. Patterson. Inside was a framed photograph. Mogadishu, October 3rd, 1993. Marcus, young and bloodied, carrying PFC Chen to safety. The moment captured by a combat photographer. And a note. "Marcus, I treated 23 wounded soldiers that day. Gave them all my special stitch, but only one of them. Carried his wounded brother 4 blocks through hell to save him. That was you. I'm proud to have served beside you, and I'm proud that you're still saving lives. You never stopped being a ranger. You just changed uniforms. Dr. Patterson. Marcus hung the photo in his locker, where no one else would see it, but where he could look at it and remember, not to glorify the violence, not to relive the trauma, but to remember why he did what he did. For his brothers, for the mission, for the simple belief that some lives are worth any risk. And 30 years. Later, mopping floors at Georgetown University Hospital, teaching young doctors how to stay calm in chaos, Marcus Washington was still living that belief. Every single night,